watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
Welcome to another edition of The End Zone. I am Colby Daniels, along with my co-host TJ Eckert, and we are joined by special guest Charles Thompson, former Oklahoma quarterback, with us as we get ready for another gigantic weekend of college football. Gentlemen, the sport never fails to deliver drama, and for the Oklahoma Sooners, it's the first road test in SEC play with a quarterback change. Who's ready for another big weekend?
I'm fired up, man. I know you are.
Well, I'm always fired up for you football. I'm always fired up for football season.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
it's good. It's been an interesting season already to this point. We knew it was going to be a unique season coming in, and it's proven to be just that so far.
And obviously, going into this week, it's the first road test. They haven't left the state of Oklahoma, and we're now going into game number 5 of the season. It's an Auburn team that maybe doesn't have as much talent across the board as they've had in years past, but it's still one of those road trips that you go into Jordan-Hare, ton of fans. You don't want to give away any sort of momentum. And with a quarterback change, Charles, I mean, obviously, you've got a sort of game plan to protect that guy.
Well, listen, you got a freshman kid who just last year was playing in high school. State, it was not nearly as big as what we're seeing now. He's making his first start. And I can tell you, no matter what they tell you, it's easier to come in games after the game's already been played than to start a game. So there'll be some nerves surely for Michael Hawkins, but I think that he's confident in himself. It'll be certainly a test for them, but I think you'll see a team that's determined to go out there and play well here in Auburn.
Be curious to see how much the offense changes with Michael Hawkins' skill set. It's a little different than what Jackson presents, but you can't put too much on the kid's plate. Like you said, true freshman, first start, it's got to be tough.
I think what you got to look at is keeping it simple, putting the game plan together that allows him to be able to exploit the defense on the things that he does well, and that's putting pressure on the corners. I think one thing that guys like myself, when I was the quarterback playing way many days ago, our philosophy was if you can get to the corner and get to the edge, it puts pressure on the defense. I think you'll see Michael, I think, and Seth in this offense trying to do that to this defense.
A very animated Brent Venables earlier this week. I mean, stress simplification with the offense, and obviously, it goes beyond that. They have so many injuries at the receiver position, which was going to be a strength of this football team, and the offensive line is still trying to work out their chemistry issues.
Well, I think the biggest thing is finding continuity. I think a lot of people don't understand when you talk about offense. Defense, you can kind of throw guys out there and you can let them go wild and go crazy, and they can kind of be one entity handling and doing something, a different entity on the other side doing another. And on the offensive side, you need everybody to be in sync. It takes 11 coordinated people to execute a play to the highest level to win games at this level, Power 5 level. It's not high school anymore. This is a big-time college football. So it's important. They've had some injuries up front offensive line. You mentioned some just a lot of injuries on the receiving corps. So I think that's a big factor, and then certainly going to a new quarterback. So a lot of moving parts for this offense, but I think you'll see it'll to me challenge the coordinators to be a little bit more creative.
It's been fun watching the defense play well. There's been concerns around the offense, I know, but the defense, man, how impressive have they looked so far? And I thought, did a really good job in the game plan against Tennessee. Did a really good job with their backs against the wall a few times with quick change turnovers. You force a turnover, and then the very next play happened twice. Sooners turn it back over to that defense. I thought they did a pretty good job.
Listen, I think anyone, I've had a chance to go down there throughout the spring watching them up close. You ask yourself, man, is this defense really that good or what? And I think we found out Saturday that the defense is really good. They got a lot of veteran guys. When you look at schematically, they're always in the right slotted, always in the right position. I think that it's no surprise to me, and I think shouldn't be to most everyone, Brent Venables knows defense. He proved that his first tenure here as a coordinator, been at Oklahoma. He's won some national championship at Auburn doing that. No question now that I think he's got some players and some talent and filled some gap after his third year that this defense is playing this well.
They've clearly elevated the talent level overall defensively. Competitive depth is something Brent Venables has preached, and that's been on display for the first month of the season. I just feel like the mentality that he has brought is completely different than what we've seen for a decade, right? They just seem like their thought process and the way they carry themselves is at a whole different level. Well,
I think what you got to look at when you talk about coaches, look at what we've had in the history in the past of Oklahoma. It's always been about the head coach.
Yeah.
Bob Stoops, certainly defensive-minded coach, great defense. He brought in some great offensive minds, but a lot of good things around the defense because that's what he knew. Yeah. When Lincoln Riley was the coach, we were heavy on the offensive side.
Sure.
Now Brent Venables. So it's to me no surprise that Brent's able to go out and find the piece that he needs. I think now we just need to be able to figure it out offensively. I think this team, I think we all understand that this defense is good enough where we have a chance to be competitive and make a difference this year if we can get on sync offensively.
Complimentary football is what fans are begging for and have been begging for quite some time. Now it's just flipped from the defense to the offense. So we'll talk more about Oklahoma and what they do on the road this week to fix some of those problems. But we got to take a break along with TJ Eckert and Charles Thompson. I'm Colby Daniels. How does OSU fix their offensive woes? That's coming up on the other side of the break. It's a really big week for Oklahoma State, guys, as the Big 12 race is on. We knew coming into the year that probably the 3 teams most likely to compete for the Big 12 title, Utah, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has the 2-game stretch with Utah and Kansas State in back-to-back weeks. We saw last weekend in Stillwater, the Utes get it done. Now Oklahoma State and Kansas State both are in pretty urgent situations in terms of the early portion of this Big 12 race. The Cowboys got to fix the offense, and I know Mike Gundy has talked about their run blocking is good when the numbers are on their side, but you've got to make teams pay for making the numbers go against you, and that's not what Oklahoma State has been able to do.
You know, I think honestly when you look at it, a lot of people that look at football don't understand that what you just said. It's about the numbers. There's only so many guys that you can block, and I think what's got to happen is you got to force defenses to get guys out of the box.
Yeah.
You got to be able to stretch the field a little bit and be a little bit more creative, punish them when they do load the box, that you get one-on-one matchups down the field,
right?
And you hit on those matchups.
Yeah, and you know, Alan Bowman had done a good job, specifically the Tulsa game. That was Tulsa's role. That was like, hey man, we're going to stop the run no matter what, and they made him pay. I mean, Bowman did a great job connecting downfield. You know, Deshaun Stribling had a great game in that one. Brendan Presley's been good all season long. We saw Talon Shetron doing a good job as well. But when you play better opponents and better competition, you still have to make them pay. And we haven't seen that yet. I think OSU's got a great wide receiver room, and they got to find a way to get those guys involved. And quarterback's talking here. We can't be switching quarterbacks in and out like crazy, man. We can't get in a rhythm.
Well, I certainly think it's a bad thing in the middle of one game.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly understand when you make decisions to switch from game, maybe to game, but in the middle of the game, it's usually never a good thing. I think if you talk about, it takes a quarterback when he comes in the game, at least 3 series to really find his rhythm. And in this day and time, that could be a quarter. That could be a half. Sometimes teams aren't getting the ball back, but 3 or 4 times in a half. And so I think when you talk about switching, and obviously they did it last week, I certainly think if the coach had to do it over again, they would not.
I know that defenses aren't going to change their approach until you make them change the approach. In terms of how you get Ollie Gordon involved, do you start trying to utilize him in the pass game more?
I would.
Well, I think the best coaching is finding a way to get the ball in the hands of the guys who make plays. It doesn't matter how you get it and what you got to do to get it to him. And I think that's the answer. The answer is, if he's one of the better players, be creative from Monday through Thursday. And if you got to go on the road on Friday, go on the road on Friday, having a plan, get the ball in your best player's hand.
We talk a lot about running good offense into good looks. Sometimes it's just like, just get my dude the ball. I don't care how we do it. Let that guy be a dude, right? There was a lot of times last year where Ollie Gordon made plays when there wasn't anything there. And he can still find ways to do that with a guy like him. Defense, did you notice anything from the defense that you liked, didn't like against Utah?
I mean, I thought that at times they tackled better. There were a few busts, but I think over the first month of the season, the thing that stood out to me was the number of explosive plays they gave up, which really contributed to some of the lopsided statistics, saying they were one of the worst defenses in college football. You know, they would play 2 or 3 snaps great, and then one big one would get them. I thought they did a good job of limiting the big plays last week, but you know, again, you can't fall behind the way they did and not have the help of the offense and just get grinded to death by a Utah team. And Kansas State will do a similar thing to you this weekend.
Well, I think the thing that people need to realize and recognize, I know a lot of people around here aren't familiar with Utah because my son played there. He transferred from Oklahoma, Kendall, to the University of Utah, so I'm very familiar with Kyle Whittingham and the way he coaches and his style of his program. He's a very, very good coach. He creates a balanced, what I call a gritty style of a football team. And they're always really, really solid and really, really good, really, really sound. So they played against a good football team last week that didn't have their starting quarterback and certainly had an opportunity to win and did not.
Problem is, Chris Kleiman and Kansas State played the exact same way. Grinded out. Avery Johnson's been impressive with his legs, quarterback there for the Wildcats. You played Manhattan? You ever been to you've been to a game in Manhattan?
I've been to the game in Manhattan.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's
Yeah,
a great environment.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a charged up atmosphere, I think, there at the Little Apple, and that's gonna be a tough game, I think, for the Pokes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and again, both teams losing last week just adds urgency to what they're going to do on Saturday. I can't wait for that matchup. We're going to take another timeout, and we're going to try to move the chain, something Charles has done a lot over his career. That's next here on the End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone, where Charles Thompson, our guest this week, is going to attempt to move the chains. Now, Charles, so far our guests are 2 for 2 in getting the first down. So this is a very complex system we have built here, where we are going to ask you a question on first down.
Okay.
You answer it, and we will judge your answer and either give you positive yardage or take yardage away. But after 4 questions, 4 downs, if you will, you have to move the chain.
Gotta move the chain.
Good luck.
It's again, I know it's very complex, but we're going to attempt to get these chains moved. All right, first down. Your question: why will Michael Hawkins elevate the offense this weekend? I know your son probably has a large role to play being in that quarterback room and getting him prepared for the starting role this week.
Well, I think the first reason why he'll elevate it is because he's, there are certain things you have in people that you do or you don't. And it's the challenge. It's the ability to say, where have I been? I think he's from a family whose dad played at a high level, played football.
Yeah.
So I think he's up to the challenge. I remember back being a young guy and people asked a question about me in my first start. Could I get it done? I think Michael Hawkins will get it done because I think he believes in himself, and I think he has the talent and the ability to do things that are uncoachable and makes defenses tough to prepare for.
Okay, so we had inside knowledge there because of your son, so that's great. So you get 9 yards.
Okay.
That's a great first down play. Maybe we'll get to take a shot here on second
and
down.
1.
Yeah,
Okay.
how about that?
Okay, I like it. I like it.
All right, we're going to put the OC headset on you now.
Okay.
You're going to be Casey Dunn. What does OSU have to do to get going offensively?
Well, I think we answered it in the last segment. I think they got to be more creative, finding a way to get Ollie Gordon involved, not just in the running game, but set up screen games or passing elements where they can get him out in the flat, get him the ball in hands, where you take 2 yards completion plays to him that he can turn into 5 to 10 to 15.
Yeah.
So I think the key is you've got to go back under the hood and say, okay, what can we do? Last year, we were able to turn around and hand the ball off to Ollie Gordon. He could do what he did. This year, we're having to do it differently, and I think that's the job of Casey Dunn. Get the ball out to Ollie Gordon in space and let him do what he does best.
Nice.
You know what? Great play design, great execution. You took the shot, guy wide open in the end zone, but it goes through his hands. Incomplete pass, and it's
you know all you could do. You know all you could do as a coach.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. All right, 3rd down and 1. Saturday night, following the OU Auburn game, another gigantic matchup in the SEC. Alabama hosts Georgia. This is one of the feature matchups of the entire college football season.
Really
so my
good.
question to you is, college football playoff national champion, are you taking Georgia and Alabama or the rest of the field?
That's tough.
Those two to be in the game?
Those two to win the championship.
Yeah, one
or
of those
the rest,
two
one
wins
of
the
those
title,
two to win the
or-
title,
yeah, there you
or you can have everybody else in college football.
I'm going to take everybody else in college football.
Okay.
I think this year there are other teams. I think those teams are still really, really good football teams, but I think there are a couple other teams. One in particular that people around here don't want to hear about down south, but I think there are a couple other good teams that maybe could stand up to them. So I'm gonna go with the field this year.
Okay, I like that, and I'm going to give you the first down on this play. This is the first time ever in the end zone. We are going to move the chains, hopefully twice now. Okay. So it's now 1st and 10, mainly because you didn't say the team's name from down south. That was
right.
Okay, so this is the final question for you. This is 1st and 10 again. We could score here, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
What yard line we on?
We're like plus territory, like plus 45. So you can take a shot, be aggressive, whatever you want to do. Okay. Venables spoke for 19 minutes in his opening statement this week. 19 minutes, it's a long time. So I got to thinking, who is the best coach in your experience at press conferences, handling press conferences? Who do you think it is? You got one?
In my experience?
In your experience, or anybody you've ever seen talk at the podium? You got anybody you're like, man, that dude knows how to handle the mic? Anybody?
Well, listen, that's really kind of a loaded question. I'm gonna go for the end zone.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's only one coach that I would have loved to play for, and I did play for, that can handle any question, handle any situation. Coach Barry Switzer.
There's no doubt. That's it.
Touchdown!
That's it. We did
Touchdown!
it.
I think we
scored.
got it.
We're in the end zone.
Now
we
listen,
did it.
I will say this. There were two answers to me that I would have given the touchdown signal for.
Yeah.
Obviously, Barry Switzer is one of them. The other one is Mike Gundy. I mean, I feel like every time Mike Gundy is at that podium in Stillwater on a Monday,
turn a camera on.
Turn a camera on and get ready because something is about to go viral. He's about to fix a refrigerator, or his dogs are going to walk in, or he's going to call somebody a homer. I mean, reference some sort of obscure song lyric. There's always going to be something. So I think Barry Switzer or Mike Gundy would have got the touchdown signal.
I like that.
That was in my back pocket. I came in there with that one.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
you were
easy.
ready.
Yeah.
You were ready to go. Mike Leach would have been a good honorable mention as well.
That's good too.
Great one.
We
I
have
like
the
that.
first moving the chains touchdown.
We do.
In end-zone
standard has
history.
been set.
I like first.
That's going to be a future
Standard's been
trivia
set by Charles
question.
Thompson.
Charles Thompson is
There
the
you go.
answer.
I love
First touchdown scored in moving the chains. All right, we're going to take a timeout and come back. Game picks next here on the End Zone. For the final time this week on the End Zone, along with Charles Thompson and TJ Eckert, I am Colby Daniels. Let's take a look at last week's game picks, TJ, because
we should do
somebody
that.
did not score a touchdown.
I can't imagine. Oh, sure enough. Sure enough. We did not play well. We did not play well last week. This is just your friendly reminder: do not gamble, kids. That's why it's illegal here.
Not picking games anyway.
Oh, that's it.
Listen, there's nowhere to go but up.
In theory.
This week. So,
In theory. We could stay the same,
there you
I
go. Game picks last week. Overall standings.
Man, you lost one time.
I was told that I need to maybe throw some dough down. That will turn into a 1-9 as soon as money is actually on the line.
The second you start betting money, yes, that's when you lose.
That is not going to happen.
Yes.
All right, let's make picks. This is a gigantic college football weekend, gentlemen. OU's next opponent is Texas in 2 weeks. They host Mississippi State. 39.5 is the spread, TJ.
It's a lot of points, but still give me the horns. You know, Mississippi, Jeff Lovey's still trying to figure things out right now down there in Starkville. So Sark, I think, has his guys ready before, obviously, Red River. So they give me the horns.
Easy pick for me, too. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. I know people around here don't want to hear that. I'm going with the Horns myself.
That's okay.
Another Longhorn blowout, Texas all the way in that matchup. All right, game number 2 going into this weekend. It's a Big 12 matchup, Arizona at Utah. The Utes are 11-point favorites.
It's also a lot of points for a game like this. Arizona struggled last week. Utah's coming off a nice win at home. So I'll take the Utes. It is a lot of points. We talked about it off air. Utah's not going to blow a lot of people out by the way they play, but I think they find a way to do it against Arizona.
Well, I think one of the things that they do is they've got great support at home. I've been in the stadium on a lot of home games, and I think that certainly Kyle will have them ready to play. If Cameron Rising's back, I think this is an easy win for the Utes.
Yeah.
Utah wins, but I'll take Arizona and the points. I'll take them to cover, but I like Utah to win for sure. All right, the big matchup of the weekend nationally is Georgia at Alabama. And I mean, when was the last time the Crimson Tide got 2 points at home?
Right, that doesn't happen very often. Kalen DeBoer has won everywhere he's been, literally everywhere he's been. This is his first chance to kind of put his stamp on the Alabama program. It's hard to call Alabama winning an upset, but I think the Tide find a way to do it at home.
Boy, I don't know. I think it's easier said than done.
It is.
I think that
There's no
certainly
doubt.
Alabama is a great football team. I think Georgia wins right now. Really,
That's fair.
I think Georgia's the pick for me.
Georgia's become the gold standard in college football. Give me the Dogs on the road to take the W. All right, we mentioned urgency with Oklahoma State and Kansas State both dropping conference games last week. This feels like a gigantic matchup in terms of the conference race. Oklahoma State's getting 4.5 points.
Nah, they need them. I don't think it's going to matter. I think Kansas State comes out and plays angry. Remember the last time they went up to Manhattan? Wasn't pretty. It was a shutout there for the Cowboys. So I think K-State ends up winning this when they cover. Playing in Manhattan is hard to do.
I think that's a good point. Playing in Manhattan is hard to do. I think that when you look at both teams trying to recover from last week, for me, Kansas State wins.
I feel like this is a field goal game either way. I don't know who I like to win, but I feel like it's a field goal game. So if I'm getting 4.5 points on either side, I would take it. Give me OSU and the 4.5 points, which brings us to a game that has a lot of questions, certainly a lot of questions about the Oklahoma offense. OU at Auburn. Both teams last week turned the ball over a lot. That was their downfall.
Yeah.
New quarterback, OU at Auburn, giving away 2.5 points.
I think the Sooners find a way to win. First off, I don't think Auburn's good at all. And when you turn the ball over like they do against a turnover-happy defense like OU has, I think that'll end up being the difference. I think Michael Hawkins will make some people look smart this week, too.
I think there's more of an issue in Auburn in the quarterback room than Oklahoma has. I think Oklahoma defense is much better than Auburn's. I'm going also with the Sooners on the road.
I like it.
Give me the Sooners on the road. I think the offense will do just enough. And the defense, I think, is going to be very opportunistic against an Auburn offense that has switched quarterbacks. Both guys have given the ball away.
Right.
I do think they are very dangerous in the skill positions, running back, receiver. They're really good. Offensive line doesn't look to be as dominant as they've had in some previous seasons, and their defense is nowhere close to, I think, what the Auburn standard has been. So should be a fun one in Auburn on Saturday. Gentlemen, have a great college football weekend, and we'll do it again next week.
Why not?